Hello, my name is Kelly Powell and I'm an MSN student at Jefferson College of Health Sciences. And the practice problem that I've identified at the local hospital that I'm currently working at is the improper storage and handling of portable oxygen tanks. It was identified during an internal audit in 2016 that portable tanks were not properly stored and that they may have not been in the correct racks. Racks were not labeled as full or empty. And there was also an issue with medical equipment such as wheelchairs, stretchers, and BiPAP machines having empty oxygen tanks attached to them. So the significance of this issue is that it poses a severe patient risk. The patient could be attached to an empty tank with their nasal cannula or non-rebreather and then not actually get any oxygen because of the employees failing to determine whether the tank was full or empty, especially if it was stored incorrectly. Another issue is a fire risk for the environment. If the tank is not stored properly, it could fall over, hit another object, hit the floor. It could start a fire, and it could also act as a projectile and injure someone. The issue with this is that there are numerous regulations out there on the proper storage of portable gases. The NFPA, or National Fire Protection Association, they specifically require that oxygen tanks be stored a certain way and labeled a certain way. Also, the Joint Commission and the DNV accrediting bodies have specific guidelines on a safe environment of care, and they also mention the proper storage of portable gases. And then also the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, they also have some regulations related to a safe environment and what organizations should do to ensure that the environment is safe and decrease risks associated with these type of issues. So the purpose of this project was to research the literature related to the portable gas storage, and also I wanted to use that to help guide the process of implementing a policy within the hospital. The hospital that I work for recently adopted a policy in January of 2017 from a larger corporation, but it has not been implemented yet. It still needs to be implemented. So a proposed action plan will be created to guide the process of implementing the policy, educating the staff, and doing an internal audit after the fact to audit for compliance and determine what further risks there are. So the PICO question is, how are improperly stored portable gas oxygen tanks affecting patient care? Also, how could implementing a policy decrease the risks associated with improperly stored portable oxygen tanks? The theoretical framework that I'm using for this process is the Failure Mode and Effect Analysis, FMEA. It's a qualitative framework that's used across many healthcare organizations, and what it does is identify failures and flaws within processes and helps to determine what the consequences or risks may be due to those flaws. And then the risk can be prioritized, and the tool is very helpful in determining a new process for addressing the risks so that it can increase patient safety. There is a lot of literature available on this topic, though there are few research studies. There's an obvious gap in the literature in relation to that. The one research study that I found, it was from the Pennsylvania Patient Safety Authority, where they analyzed their database of reportable adverse events, and they found that during a 10-year period, 393 oxygen tank related events occurred, and 360 of those were due to oxygen being interrupted to the patient. 84.2% of that was because the oxygen tanks were empty. The patients were connected to empty oxygen tanks. Another research study, the National Patient Safety Agency evaluated in their database 281 reported events and found 103 were directly related to equipment issues such as empty oxygen cylinders, and because of that, 9 patient deaths occurred. So this is definitely something that can pose a significant risk to patients, and it's something that should be addressed not just within this hospital but within all healthcare organizations to ensure that the proper environment of care is given to patients while they're here, and also to visitors and employees as well. Thank you.